Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be looking at one that was a really powerful one back in the day, but not quite as powerful now, although it still has quite a nice use. The main issue with this particular item is that it has a direct successor. When you have a unique item that has a direct successor, it always inevitably becomes the underdog. This item, of course, that I'm talking about is the Spectral Shard, and the successor that I'm talking about is the Wizard Spike. The Wizard Spike and the Spectral Shard are basically the same exact item, where the Spectral Shard is the lower level version, and the Wizard Spike is the higher level version. The Spectral Shard, though, is a pretty amazing item, and I've always been pretty enamored with it. I've actually used it quite a few times on quite a few different characters back in the day and currently. The thing that you got to know about the Spectral Shard is that it's just a massive bump in faster cast rate. It's really all there is to it. The extra stats are just icing on the cake. So when you look at Spectral Shard, you'll notice that it's one-handed damage of 4 to 15, it's relatively low. 51 dex, which can be an issue for certain casters who may not have the dexterity required to equip it. 35 strength, and level 25. So at level 25, you can put this on for a massive 50% faster cast rate, which is nuts. You're not going to get 50% faster cast rate from any other items. Not at this level, and honestly, pretty much not in the entire game, with the exception of the aforementioned Wizard Spike, which replaces this item. 55 to attack rating, which of course is moot, but a very nice bonus of 50 to mana. Now this is important because, as many times I have talked about in the past, mana regeneration is actually specifically governed by how much mana you have. You can have maximum warmth with the godlike regeneration, and it will do you no good if you do not have the mana pool to utilize the regeneration. So having a very nice 50 mana bonus at level 25 is going to have a huge effect on how quickly your mana regenerates. It also has all resistances 10 on it, as if the 50% faster cast and the mana plus 50 wasn't already enough. Has a very nice all res added in there. And quite honestly, this is an excellent caster item for any character who needs to bump up their faster cast rate. If you're a barbarian, for instance, you can actually wear 2 of these, and you can get a very nice bump in your faster cast of 100% to your faster cast rate. And you might be asking, well, why do barbarians need faster cast rate? Well, there are certain skills that barbarians have that are governed by faster cast, like, for instance, Warcry. Warcry is a faster cast ability. To give you an example, let's use no faster cast. And then we'll switch to faster cast. So this is no faster cast. And then this is with faster cast. As you can see, a much bigger difference with the 100% from the 2 daggers. And of course, you could beef that up even further. Now, as a barbarian, of course, if you were going strictly for faster cast and you weren't worried about anything else, later on you could use 2 Wizard Spikes, and Wizard Spikes have 75 all res on them, which is even more crazy. You talk about 150 all res from both daggers and 100% faster cast. Pretty nuts. Now, of course, these can be upgraded, but I do not recommend ever upgrading them. We're going to do it on camera here, just because I want to show you that it is a bad idea. So let's play around with this real quick. So right off the bat, you'll notice that the Spectral Shard has a dexterity requirement of already of 51, and this is one of the reasons why it's very bad to upgrade this. But it's 4 to 15 damage, 51 dexterity, 35 strength, level 25. It also has no increased damage, which means that if you were actually going to upgrade this, the only reason you would upgrade it is to increase the damage. And because it has no actual on-weapon ED, the damage upgrade is going to be pathetic. And that takes us to the Stiletto, which is 19 to 36, 97 dexterity. As you can see, the dexterity requirement went way up, 47 strength, and level 30. The ethereal version also can be upgraded, of course. The ethereal version has some nice style points at the very least. And this one goes from 6 to 22, 41 dex, 25 strength, level 25, to 28 to 54 damage, 87 dex, 37 strength, level 30. Of course, you can upgrade this one more time if you wanted to with a Pull, a Perfect Emerald, and a Lummy Lummo rune. Now, Lums aren't really that hard to come by, but Pulls are. I've actually, like literally piled runes into my stash specifically for stuff like this. And that takes us to the Legend Spike, which is 31 to 47 damage. As you can see, pretty pathetic. With a dexterity requirement of 67, a strength requirement of 65, and level 68. 78. As you can see, though, a very weird thing happens when you upgrade it to its final tier. The dexterity requirement actually goes down, and the strength requirement goes up. Because when you transmute an item to its higher tier, you're not necessarily upgrading the item. A lot of the times you're just changing the item from one form to another, and obviously the Stiletto and the Legend Spike have different requirements entirely. The ethereal version can be upgraded as well from 28 to 54, 87 dex, 37 strength, level 30. And that goes to 46 to 70 damage, 57 strength, dexterity, 55 strength, and level 78. As you can see, no real good reason to upgrade the Spectral Shard. The stat requirements go up, the damage doesn't matter, and quite honestly, there's just no point to it. As for the weapon itself, though, it's best left at level 25 where it belongs, and it's best used for caster classes. You can use this on a sorceress early on to get your faster cast up ridiculously high. You can use this on a necromancer if you're a bone spear or like a poison nova necromancer or something and you just want massive amounts of faster cast. You can use it on a barbarian, 2 of them for like warcry barbs. Works out really nicely. The extra faster cast that you can get from these is actually pretty darn sweet. You could also potentially socket it and put something else in here. Now, I probably wouldn't socket a Spectral Shard since there is a direct upgrade later on. And if you do plan on using the Wizard Spike, I would socket the Wizard Spike and put something nice in there. But as for the Spectral Shard, it's a little bit different of a story. You don't really want to waste your socket quest on the Spectral Shard so early on, and there's not really a whole lot of really good runes and items to put in these at level 25 anyway, so it's probably something that I would avoid. All in all, the Spectral Shard is an amazing item for a low-level character, and quite honestly, when tied together with the proper equipment, it can make your faster cast rate go through the roof. The extra mana is absolutely excellent to help keep your mana regenerating, and then on top of that, the All Resistances 10 is a very nice icing on the cake to help keep you alive through normal and nightmare difficulty. Now, normally you are going to replace this by the time you get to like Nightmare or Hell difficulty, especially you will replace it with either Wizard Spike or maybe a Spirit Sword or any of the other combinations of things. But specifically to hit breakpoints, it's nice to have one of these around because maybe if you're a Paladin or something like that who's trying to hit his, like 115 breakpoint or whatever it is that you're trying to touch, the extra faster cast on a Spectral Shard can be very, very useful. And later on, the extra faster cast on the Wizard Spike can also be very useful. Usually I like to hold on to these whenever I find them and drop them for newer players because they are just so very useful to newer players. Where would you potentially find one of these if you wanted to find one? To be honest with you, they drop just about everywhere. I think, honestly, since Ladder started, we have literally found like, I want to say like 30 of these things. If not more. But let's go over really quickly on Silo's pen, and let's take a look and see where the best place to look for this item is, shall we? So this is Silo's pen. It's a drop calculator, and we're going to assume that we're a relatively low-level character. We've only maybe got like 50% magic find. We're going to be looking for the Spectral Shard, which is not too difficult to come by, but let's see how difficult it is for a lower level character. That's really where the test comes in, right? If we want to specifically find this item on a low level character, where are we looking? So first, let's take a look at bosses. And it does look like Diablo from Quest and Normal is the absolute best chance for bosses, and then Diablo in Normal is actually still pretty good at 1 in 346, so not bad at all. Bale in Normal difficulty, also not bad, 1 in 371. And Dariel, 1 in 407, so not bad at all. Let's take a look at Super Uniques. Cow King and Nightmare, not really a good spot to farm for this. Neolithak in normal actually doesn't have a bad chance. Interesting. Bonesaw Breaker in normal, Shank the Overseer in normal, Eldritch the Rectifier in normal, all monsters that are eminently farmable. Doc Farron, Pindle Skin. So there you go. You could very easily get your hands on this in normal difficulty just by farming. It looks like Neolithak, Neolithak, Thresh Socket, Pindle Skin, Doc Farron, Eldritch the Rectifier, Shank the Overseer, all very easy to farm, as well as Diablo in normal difficulty. He's pretty easy to farm too. Quite honestly, it looks like there's a lot of very good places that you could get your hands on this. As I said, never really had much trouble finding one, and quite honestly, whenever I need one, it's usually around. There's really not much more to say about this particular item. The Spectral Shard is definitely a fun one to use on characters, and I hope that if you have found one of these, I've given you some insight onto its usefulness. As always, thanks for watching, and keep watching.